He said he wasn't going to say anything today, but he wasn't going to speak.
She's been on her best behavior this morning.
He's being the strong stoic type.
Yeah, the strong silent type. I'm not sure what he's thinking. It could be anything. I want to thank you for being here to the Morning Hustle this beautiful Thursday morning. And I'm Fort Worth Playboy.
I'm Bunny.
And we are glad you're here. We're going to go through the timeline. We're going to talk about game, pickup, relationships, and
sex.
Bunny's favorite. And we cover everything. What we try to convey to you and what we try to deliver to you on a daily basis is actionable tactics that you can use to move girls from complete strangers to naked and in your bed, all the way to reigniting the passion in a 20 or 30 year marriage that's kind of lost its spark.
Yeah.
And Bunny's really good at that. And that's what we're here for today.
Yeah. You ready for
let's begin. And if you have any questions, go to YouTube and you can ask in the comment section, and we will do our very best to answer these questions on the broadcast.
Yeah. Oh, Balancer says, I wish all women had your enthusiasm for sex.
Well, the divorce rate would be lower.
Yeah.
People would be a lot happier.
It's true.
Even the women would be happier.
Everyone wins. Everyone wins. All right. The maxim of the day, maxim number 55, though I don't think that number actually means anything.
You don't know that.
Less talking is always sexier than more talking. If you struggle to find something witty to say to a girl, stop trying. Flailing for the right words is approval-seeking beta behavior that women can sniff out from across the room. Corollary to maxim number 55, a grunt or aloof gesture trumps a try-hard, strained, verbose comeback.
You would be amazed. I mean, you always think of like pickup artists or players as chatty, talkative, witty, but there is a balance. And this is one thing that I've tried to convey over time is when it comes to game, less is more.
Yeah.
You will always, if you, in your regular interactions, pull back 20 to 30%. Use fewer words, talk less, initiate fewer conversations, text less, call less. You still want to get in front of each other pretty often because most people don't get in front of each other enough.
Yeah.
But simply pulling back a little bit will cause her attraction to go up. Less is more when it comes to game. Because what I try to convey to guys is if you consciously slow everything down, pull back, you'll probably hit it just right.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing now is working really well, I hope. And pulling back that 20 or 30% will really actually amplify it.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're kind of struggling along right now, you might be over gaming sometimes. And this gives you a chance to slow down and catch that before it gets away from you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's one thing I do like about, Chateau, you got to remember, like, he was so far ahead of his time. And I think he recognized that less is more early on.
Yeah.
Early on. Because, again, girls don't know what you're thinking. And I think guys, being our default is action, to take action if something's uncomfortable. Therefore, you're taking too much action.
Yeah.
And even like Coach Corey Wayne, a lot of his stuff is simply telling guys to stop doing things.
Yeah.
Stop asking her out. Stop chasing her around. Stop, So when less is more, you'll see that more girls are more attracted to you.
Right. Right.
So here's the question. Why, and again, we always say this, a guy can talk a girl out of fucking him. So what is it about guys that are talking too much that turns girls off? Why is it showed down?
Well, we're used to guys tripping all over themselves to talk to us. So if you're on a first date or a date or starting to get to know someone and you're being a chatty Cathy as the man, It makes you no different than every other man she encounters that day, that month, that year. It makes, from the moment we hit puberty, practically, men of all ages, upwards of our father's friends, have been hitting on us, have been tripping over themselves to talk to
Good
us.
point.
So it's mainly just like the whiplash that sets you apart from the others when you aren't tripping over your own dick just to get in front of us and keep our attention and all that stuff. Like the fact that you can sit at a bar and not just be like locked in on her. And you pulled a really good tweet about this too, that we'll see in a second. But it's a big deal, and it really makes you kind of go, oh, okay, he's actually looking like at other people too. He's looking, he's not just locked in on me. He's scanning the room. He's nodding at people as they pass. This sets you apart because, and I think that a lot of men mistakenly get really irritated, upset by this just very natural, normal part of a female's life. It's just the way it is.
It's very interesting because 007, who is out in LA, he put out a tweet just like in the last day about when you're out, stop staring at her.
Yeah, that's
and
what
he
I was
has
referring to.
and I think we'll cover that in complete today. But it was very interesting he's absolutely right, and that's an advanced. You want to read it real quick?
Sure. Go ahead. I mean,
I can't read it. From here.
No. I meant go ahead and with what you were saying.
Oh yeah, he says, look around. I mean, because that's what girls do when they're out and socializing.
Yeah.
They don't lock in on a guy. And guys, we are definitely bad about this. And I'm sure, I'm always trying to be aware of my surroundings. But again, sometimes guys do lock in, and it's like a staring contest, and it freaks girls out.
It is. It's very weird.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between, watching her reactions and calibrating your game as opposed to like eyeballing her.
Yeah. So 007 says, on the first date, stop looking at her so much. Your body language should be infused with the environment so she knows she isn't that important. Most of you guys are looking at the girls far way too long, revealing your interest, the same way girls do. You have to conceal your interest.
And that's I mean, again, girls are masters at not allowing you to know what they're thinking. I mean, I've even seen experiments where they're putting like a handsome man in front of girls and he's talking to her, and this is what you're getting.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he steps out of the room or away, she's like,
oh my God.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
Because they're not going to reveal anything.
So hot.
Yeah, they're not going to reveal anything.
Yeah.
Especially if they're interested.
Yeah.
So, but 007 is, again, ahead of the game. That look around, you're very casual. It can be her. It might be, and Chateau was good about this. Like, if you see a girl with big boobs walking by, take a look, stare at them as they pass by. It keeps girls aware of the competition.
Right.
So there's really no downside. Again, less is more. Look at them less, slower gestures, walk a little bit slower, engage a little less, let her carry a little bit more weight. And I think you will hit it just right.
Here's the real question. Are her boobs too big?
That's pretty funny.
Speaking of staring.
At what point? I mentioned that to Bunny.
At what point are they really too big?
You can never. And they say that they can never be too big. I mean, just kind of like.
Which I actually don't think is accurate. But
no, there's girls that can't even like walk on the treadmill.
Yeah.
They will never actually exercise because their boobs are uncomfortably large.
There are also girls who will use that as an excuse, even though it's not.
Any excuse will do that.
Bouncer says that's just right.
Just slightly too big is actually just right.
It's true.
It's really kind of crazy.
It's true.
That's pretty funny.
Just large enough to be distracting and not be able to hide them. Okay. All girls start out as a casual fling. If she wants more, she'll stick around. And then you had a comment. Sometimes I turn to my wife and say, hey, how's that non-serious fling we started working out for you?
Exactly.
Fort Worth pulls this one too.
And this is why when you see girls, like especially like where they've like been pumped and dumped and they've been dating for 10 years,
Yeah.
they go, you know, no hookups, relationship first. They're putting, you know, you read it and you're like, what is off about this?
Yeah.
Because you know intuitively that everything it's sex first, then relationship, maybe.
Yeah.
The sex always comes first. Most people don't even really know each other that well
No.
before they start hooking up, because that natural attraction is there. And then the relationship develops if the ingredients are right.
Yeah.
You know, that chemical soup. But that's one thing that I think throws men off when they read these, or girls will like, hey, I want to, you know, they want to get to know you. But it's what she's saying, because what she's found is she slept with a bunch of guys and none of them have actually panned out to be anything.
Right.
And a lot of that's just literally like rolling the dice.
Yeah.
It's nothing on her. It's that the 15, 20, 30 guys, not a single one of them was really looking for anything serious.
Right.
You know, guys have to be kind of convinced. Wouldn't you say? I mean, very rarely. I've actually had girls that were like clients, like met a guy in their 30s, and he had decided that morning that he was going to get married and have kids. He had already been playing around long enough, and so he was dating with a purpose.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much luck of the draw.
Yeah.
It'll be 1 in a million guys, but that's the
and
real.
most girls don't then appreciate.
No.
the
It's just like if you show up talking about sex, and she shows up talking about relationship. I mean, a guy talking or a girl talking about sex first is off. Something's usually off.
Yeah.
And if a guy shows up, starts talking about relationships first, it's off.
Yeah.
The girl will become just like you would be suspect of a girl that's like overly sexual.
Right.
Like right off the bat, you're like, okay, I'm having fun, but how many guys has she done this with?
Right.
The women think the same thing. They think low value when you lead with a relationship. Your relationship offers are what you have. Your commitment is the most valuable thing to her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it throws the dynamics off. But you do not bother trying to explain this to women. You know, if a girl's like trying to slow you down and commitment first, you need to just go ahead and cut her loose.
Yeah.
Because it's sex first, then relationship, maybe.
Right.
So
Right.
tell what happens. What are the things that guys do girls will sniff out as like, this guy's like overly pushy for a girlfriend?
Well, okay, so back when I was single, like a long time ago, I remember there were several guys who it would either be like, oh my God, marry me. Like, you know, I mean, literally just in the middle of a conversation. Or, you know, it would be like, well, when we, you know, when, I mean, I literally they would say, well, when we get married or when we're married, da, da, da.
Right.
Which is what girls want to hear 2 years in. It's not what they want to hear 2 days in.
Very interesting.
2 hours.
Right, right. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard of girlfriends who were like single moms going through a divorce, and the guy would be like, on the first date, be like offering to pay for her divorce.
Oh, yeah.
Things like this. Like, you guys are just like leading with this so often that it's a super huge turnoff. Because again, less is more. We want to have to chase you a little bit. We want to earn it. Yeah. A guy who's like leading from the front going, I'm looking for a wife. I'm looking for a wife. I'm looking for a wife. It's like, I'm going to need to call my convict ex-boyfriend.
Right,
quick.
right.
Like,
And I think guys, especially more blue pill, it's kind of romantic. You know, the fast marriage, or the fast, and they do get kind of swept up in their in their attraction to the girl.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not always mutual.
Yeah.
And game is very much where you're circumspect and you kind of hold back and let her chase. And the thing that most guys don't realize is like girls enjoy chasing men. That's their highest value. That's when they enjoy life most, is when they're chasing a high value man that has some attainment availability.
Yeah.
You know. But Buddy has a good, I mean, every guy at some point has probably been, other than the cold players, has been guilty of like moving too fast too soon. So just remember though, is that when you start seeing these like relationships first or serious only, and I can't even remember some of the other phrases girls will use.
Right.
But
the no hookups kind of thing.
It's where she's already hooked up so many times and been disappointed by the outcome. But you keep in mind that once you guys get in the same room together, unless she's like dug her heels in and is determined to have it her way, which will not be pretty, it's going to be sex first. Yeah, sex first, then relationship, maybe. Most of the time, when you get a girl finally in the room together, they get on board.
Yeah.
The natural order of things begin. But if a girl forces it, and they'll try, you're in for a bad time. So it's better to just cut it short and walk out.
But I do want to say, I mean, because we also want to encourage people to have some fun out there. I mean, this response that you got on this tweet saying, sometimes I turn to my wife and say, hey, how's that non-serious fling we started?
Yeah.
It's good to do stuff like that. It's good to have fun in your relationship. I don't think that enough people take full advantage of continuing to play. Like, Fort Worth is always like, oh, you know, we're just keeping it casual. We're just
keep it casual.
We're just keeping it casual. Just
after what, 7 years?
After 7 years,
just gonna
keep it casual.
We're just gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. So, and we have a ton of fun with it, and I think it's an important element. It's just like the never stop teasing thing. Never stop teasing. Never stop having fun and kind of playing with the person that you're doing life with.
Yeah, there's a double whammy here, you know.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a question, and it's a pretty good one. So I'm going to go on and pull this up. So, hey, I want to hook up with my neighbor. She's a mom in her 30s. I'm 31. She's 37. We've texted a couple of times, mostly about things related to the apartment complex. We live in a small building. There's a cost to rejection, so how do you play this? Ask her out, hope she invites me to her apartment. I think the problem is that I'm trying to be too witty when I see her in passing, like the show topic is. Yeah. We actually get this question a lot.
Proximity builds attraction.
Yeah.
Can he say, does he know if she has a boyfriend? I'm taking it as like everything's clear here. And it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I would simply say.
He just wants to hook up with her. So why would you ask her for a date?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It may not happen organically. You know, you can't just like say, hey, you want to come over? Yeah, I mean, you can say, hey, especially with them, you say, hey, you want to come over for some wine?
Yeah.
You know, and that may be what you need to keep an eye out for, is like a Friday or Saturday evening where you're both in the area.
Yeah.
Or actually, hell, any night would be better.
Yeah.
You know, any night that you see the logistics are good, to throw out the bait.
Well, you know, when the kid's not with her, when the kid's at her dad's.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how old the child is. Yeah. That's a big deal. Yeah. Because the chances for a single mom of her actually not being able to, due to logistics, is high.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot of, but I would wait for the right setup. But have your shit together.
Yeah.
Have wine, have whatever you have. That way, when the day comes, you can pull the trigger that, you know, within that 12 hours.
Exactly.
That's what I would say.
Well, and if you think that you're trying too hard, you most certainly are. Because guys vastly underestimate that kind of calibration in their lives, which is why less is more, which is why they, you know, all the things that Forrest said on the front end, where like if you shoot for 20 to 30% less,
Yes.
then you might be hitting it right.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. If you think you're going too hard, you most certainly are. You're trying too hard. You're going out too much.
And one thing I'm going to warn you about here is when you have proximity and you have attraction, you still have an expiration date.
Yeah.
You have a window because she may end up with a boyfriend
Yeah.
and then everything's over. And I say that because, you know, you need to recognize that any attraction is temporary. You need to take advantage. If you're in the right place at the right time, you need to pull the trigger
Yeah.
sooner than later.
Yeah.
And if she says, no, I got a boyfriend or I'm married or whatever, you go, oh, okay. And then you never, ever bring it
Yeah.
up again.
Yeah.
You treat her exactly as you did a minute before you asked her out. That way it's not weird. You recover quickly. And then you have the opportunity down the road.
Yeah.
Don't burn your bridge, especially with, you know, a girl that's an unknown quantity. The chances of her coming back around are usually pretty good.
Right.
You know, as long as you just take it like a man. And girls will even talk about, like, they'll be like, yeah, I thought you took that rejection really well.
Yeah.
And now they're like naked in your bed.
Right.
You know, that matters.
It makes a big difference.
But I want to convey to you, and I do it all the time, you know, fuck her now. And she could gain 30 pounds this year. She could get a face tattoo. She get pregnant again. You know, when you're in the right place at the right time,
Yeah.
you need to start pulling that trigger automatically.
Well, and if she's responding to your kind of flirtation a little bit, then you need to act on it, because otherwise she'll be like, I guess he wasn't interested because I was kind of flirting with him.
And that can flip like a switch.
Yeah. So then she's just like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
And she'll, you know.
You'll feel it when you see her the next time.
Yeah.
After she flips that switch, it's very hard to turn back on.
Now, the flip side of that also is it's kind of like shit where you eat. It's kind of like fucking coworkers. It gets really tricky if you're just wanting to, like, fuck this girl, hit it and quit it. Even if you're wanting a relationship with her, if things go south, if she doesn't, you know, doesn't take the bait, if she isn't interested, if she's dating someone, any of these things, now you're living right next to someone that you see pretty often that gets really weird really fast. So it's kind of like, I mean, we do caution against proximity fucking and work fucking for this exact reason. We've done podcast after podcast on it. We've talked to consults about this. Like, it still does get a little bit tricky.
If you're a player, most players end up banging almost everyone around her.
Yeah.
Generally. And if she does say no, what she will see is you with a different girl every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. But players tend to, it does get messy. I mean, make no mistake about it. The guys that really get into trouble are guys that don't actually mess around a lot.
Yeah.
And then, like, bang a coworker and then it goes south and they're like, it's a mess.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're a player, the fact that you take the rejection, okay, or like you guys bang and then she gets a boyfriend and you take it in stride. She might be back in the future.
Yeah.
Then she sees you with another girl the next day.
Turns her on even more.
Yeah, it's just part of the game.
Yeah.
So a lot of it has to do with, like, where your game level is, you know.
And I think you make a good point in that if you bang this girl, make sure you keep bringing girls home. I mean, you're not mentioning any other girls in this question, Sam, but I'm assuming that you've got kind of a revolving door. I'm hoping so, because then that turns her on. She doesn't fear that you're trying to, like, lock her into a relationship. It was just like a fun fling and everybody enjoyed themselves.
Everybody benefits.
Everybody had fun. She can come back around if she's, you know, lonely one night or wants some, you know.
And she knows that you're not going to freak if she shows up with a boyfriend.
Exactly. It's a win-win. So, hope that it helps answer your question.
That's the real deal.
That's the real deal.
I have to say that so I know where to edit these things.
You're such a dork. Oh, all right. You know you're running enough girls when you start to lose track of the girls in your life. And then Brad Beast Mode Dating says, when you start calling girls the wrong name is when the shit starts to get real.
it's funny because I knew I kind of hit it the next level when I was still living at home and a girl knocked on the door and my mom called her the wrong name.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And she's like, hey, Cindy. She's like, I'm not Cindy.
Ah!
That's, I remember.
Oh, you must.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly. No, that's so
That's
funny.
pretty good.
But that is, I mean, when you can't remember, and man, everybody goes through that at some point. Or you're with a girl and you're like out, and you realize, I do not know this girl's name.
Yeah.
I don't. It
Well,
happens.
that's where the nicknames are.
It's huge. Yeah.
Such a bonus. I mean, give them nicknames, but don't lock into one. So
Yeah.
don't only call her, Sporty Spice. Don't only call her Baby. Don't only call her all kinds of stuff. Like, okay, Flaky McFlakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
God.
just in a teasing manner. And that way, even if you have that kind of momentary glitch where you are like, oh shit,
Yeah.
who is this girl?
Yeah.
What is this girl's name in front of me? You're safe because you're a nickname guy anyway.
Exactly. You don't have to
long
use her
way.
name. I mean, but that is not. I mean, one, fatigue and bad hours
Yeah.
can like wipe your brain, and you are sitting there. You've been talking to her for 20 minutes, and you realize, I don't know this girl's fucking name, or you knew it and you forgot it.
Yeah.
And you can't take them all to Starbucks. Here
Uh-huh.
you ordered first.
Yeah.
That's
pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
But yes, when you start losing track, you're probably hitting it just right.
Yeah.
And again, I even have something out there like how to keep track of them in your phone. That way you have reference, because you're going to have 7 Katies.
Right.
You need to start figuring out a system. And as soon as I can get a picture, I put a picture with the face.
Well,
And
and
then-
with Facebook and things like that, it really, or just even on the dating apps, just like
Yeah.
screen capping,
Yeah.
kind of the one that really looks like her the most or whatever.
Yeah, and guys are usually, that do this. They have a picture, and they have where they met her, and they might have 1 or 2 important things.
Yeah.
Have they had sex with her? Because when you have 7 Katies,
Yeah.
you don't know who you've met up with before.
Yeah.
So you need to have some history in there. So that's how you do it. But
Very helpful.
it's not too many. It's just right when you're just kind of like on that edge and you can't keep track of them all. You're doing what you should be doing.
It's a good problem to have.
We want you to have good problems.
Yeah, good problems. When spinning plates, running a rotation, know what category each girl is in. Fuck buddy, friend with benefit, girlfriend candidate, girlfriend, and don't violate your own rules. When you treat a fuck buddy like a girlfriend and vice versa, you get drama.
Take an example of any rules, and let's say sleepovers, fuck buddies, friends with benefits, anybody under a girlfriend candidate,
Yeah,
no sleepovers.
yeah.
It sends the wrong message. Don't let them under the covers. I know that sounds horrible, but
Yeah,
then they're going to wake up in the morning, and then you have confusion, and confused girls get hurt and mad and leave.
exactly.
So you have to have certain rules, parameters, and the 1 and 2, the 2 big ones for the difference between somebody who has potential as a relationship down the line
Yeah,
and all the other girls that are for fun and entertainment. One thing, going out, fuck buddies, friends with benefits tend to stay in, like they just come over,
yeah,
or you just go over there.
yeah,
Girlfriend candidates, you actually are taking out. You're actually doing things.
yeah.
And the other thing is sleepovers, because to guys it doesn't matter that much, but to women I think there's
Oh, it's definitely a mental, it makes it more romantic. It makes it more special. It means that he wants to spend more time with me.
yeah, and that's, those are examples. You have to have hard and fast, and you don't have to tell them this.
No, please
but
don't.
you just guide them into the correct category. But one thing that I had noticed, and this is like over time, like guys will have a friend with benefit, something very casual. Neither of them will have any real intention.
Right.
And then she'll have like an event she has to go to. She'll say, I don't have anybody. And he breaks his rule that one time, and they go out, and then that's it.
Yeah.
They've kind of like built the relationship over time, and then they get out and they go, shit, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then they get married. It's just one of those, it starts off casual and then just over time, and I'm talking like sometimes it's a year or two, then they go out.
But more often than not, they don't end up happily ever after.
No,
after they end up awkward. Now they're in this weird
that
middle
can
place
happen too. Yeah.
where it was like, oh, what did
Especially
I do? I broke my own rule and I'm paying the price.
If you're really determined to like keep a girl in a certain category, focus on keeping her in that category.
It's easy just to not be available then.
Yeah. And girls are pretty good about like kind of recognizing where they're at, and then they'll get on board with the game.
Yeah.
So that's the real, I mean, you're asking for trouble when you don't have parameters or rules and you're running multiple girls at different levels. And you do need to mentally, even if you have to write this stuff down, that way it makes sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, and I think about like, there are always those events, and girls will also, make no mistake, we're wily like that. We will use those kinds of events to try to force you into being more of a boyfriend.
There you go. That's smart.
1000%.
Yeah, I'm sure it's happened.
More often than not, she's like, oh, I don't have a date to this. It has nothing to do with not having plenty of people
she wants him to go.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Either because he's got a good social status, he looks good on, he would look good to the coworkers.
He looks
whatever.
good. That'll go a long way. Yeah.
She knows he would handle himself well.
Yeah.
Or she just really wants to lock him in.
Yeah.
And that's enough of a reason. We will do that every time. Every time.
And girls, yes. And guys will go and have like a great time.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty comfortable around her.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. That's pretty funny. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Even when you've been doing this as long as I have, I'm still like, you got to remember these girls have their own agenda.
And I will say, because everyone does it, if you guys break your own rule, if you go to an event, if you attend an event or go out with just a fuck buddy, a friend with benefits, make sure you're not too affectionate while you're out. Like, you can be
minimum PDA.
Yeah, minimum PDA. You're not holding hands. You're not kissing. You're not looking at each other lovingly. Like, if you want to keep her in this like backed off category, it's in those circumstances where you have to actively control the narrative.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Now you can keep things sexual, absolutely.
Yeah, you definitely need to have sex at whatever event you go to.
Yeah.
But she has a good point. You have to like.
But you can't have it romantic.
Exactly. Because girls will ask you to go to weddings.
Well, yeah.
And then it's over. Then you're not going to recover from it. But just know that it's very difficult once, what do they say? Once the genie is out of the bottle.
Right.
To shove it back in. It's not going to go back in easily.
Yeah.
So you get a girl that's been a fuck buddy for 6 months, a year. Then you go out and she has a great time. It's going to be very hard to get her to just come over and hang out. She's going to want to do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just know that you're opening up the floodgates.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. All right, you handsome devil. Next. Oh, that's not what I want.
If you guys like what you're seeing, want to help support this channel financially, like, subscribe, comment below, or you can go to myplayboysbunny.gumroad.com or fortworthplayboy.gumroad.com. Pick up a book. Invest in yourself and help us financially.
That's fair.
Everyone wins. But what would you...
Well, most of what we do is free content. And so anytime that you purchase our things, you're essentially saying, I appreciate all that you put out and I want to repay you. And you get the added benefit of
going deeper.
Yeah. All right. If a friend is attracted to you, she'll be too. That was a really good one from Seducer today.
I've been pushing that narrative lately. Like, it's easier to fuck her friends than fuck a new person.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. That's a good.
So I've been getting all the car videos where there'll be like 3 or 4 girls in the car, and the girl will be like, you know, drop a finger if your best friends are in the car. Drop your finger if you don't have any secrets. Drop your finger if you fuck my boyfriend in the back seat.
Yeah.
Then she whips around. It's pretty funny. There's a lot of girls.
There's a lot of that.
Sharing guys.
Yeah.
So it is, and again, be discreet.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
A gentleman never kisses and tells.
Yeah, you don't kiss and tell.
Yeah.
Sometimes the girls will tell them themselves because they want her to know. They want to know.
1,000%.
You know, there's a lot of intersexual competition.
Yeah.
But generally, let it be a fight amongst them. Not,
Well, and girls will do that because if it pisses her off, okay, girl number 2 already knows that he's dating girl number 1. Once girl number 1 finds out, girl number 2 says she'll drop off. She'll be mad. She'll leave. And then I'll have girl number 2 will be girl number 1.
the new boyfriend.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
Aw. Mac Monkey loves the show. Thank you. All right. Last but certainly not least, let me get this in the right order here. This is pretty good. Backpacking through Europe. Beware of well-traveled women because women love to travel and fuck. If you see Tulum, Cancun, Ibiza in her bio, that's not your girl. Oh.
Read his exchange. This is 007. He does. Go ahead.
So he says, hey, you know, we got busy last time. We tried to make plans. Let's grab a drink this week. She says, unfortunately, I'm backpacking through Europe for 3 months and I'm not back till the end of July. Haha.
Girls are blind to this, and blue pill guys are, because every once in a while, and it happens more at the beginning of the summer, like very straight, you know, normal guys will ask, what is the deal with girls in travel?
Yeah.
And you'll see like literally hundreds of answers, and none of them are accurate. They're all like, you know, girls are more educated today. You know, they want to, you know, spread their wing. And nobody's like, they love anonymous sex with strangers, you know, locals, other backpackers. You know, they want to try the local talent out. They want to hook up with randos. And there's no supervision. Most girls, it's just like college. Girls, that first semester in college is why it's such a fuck fest, is for the first time they're away from their parents or any of their friends keeping an eye on them.
Yeah.
Again, girls need anonymity to really slut it up, to really do what they want to do. So when they are overseas or in Mexico or even in Nashville, depending on who they're with,
just outside of their zip code, really,
where there's no friends or family, and the guy doesn't know anyone that they will ever know, they can sleep with 4 or 5 guys in a week or in a day. You know, that's spring break. And that's what women in travel, just like this girl backpacking.
Yeah.
She's bragging about it.
She doesn't realize what she's bragging about.
She doesn't know who she's bragging to.
Yeah.
Because a player understands what this means.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't fuck her when she comes back. No, but you need to recognize that that's what travel is for women.
Yeah.
You know, what are the exceptions?
Well,
they travel with their kids.
Yeah. And I will say the women don't actively think this either. They don't think, I'm going to go fuck every man. They see these travel romances as romantic. I mean, how many movies are there where the girl, you know, goes off to find herself and she falls in love with the local talent?
What was it? What was the original Eat, Pray, Love or something?
Yeah,
like that? Kind of kicked it off.
Most popular.
But all of this has always existed.
Yeah, exactly. It was just the most popular of the time. It's you know, but for sure it's like, and by the way, those two are divorced now. But you know, it's just romantic to think I traveled here, I met this amazing man. He was so sexy and he didn't speak English.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And she fucked him.
Yeah.
And they had a little flame.
Or not.
I mean, it's no different than Cocktail with Tom Cruise and Elizabeth Shue. So, I mean,
That's good. Recall. That's good.
You name it. It's a fun story to tell.
It's drama. It's nobody's watching her.
Yeah.
So she can kind of do whatever she wants to do.
She can get swept up in.
Yeah, you got to remember, like, that's why girls, like, they're in their office job and then they're not going to the gym, but their office job or they're going back home and they live with their parents. It's a boring, terribly boring life.
Exactly.
And nothing happens unless a guy is involved. That's why when girls do travel, it's on.
Yeah.
You know, they're away from home. It's exciting. And no one knows.
Exactly.
That's the kicker. That's the key. Let me ask you something. Like, so when these 3 or 4 girls head to Nashville, that's a big popular place, you know, or Austin. How do they deal with their friends? Is it kind of like an understanding if it's just a girl, like if your friends are all whores, you're going to whore it up too? Is that what happens?
But even if they're not,
Right.
let's use a better example that they're just like normal girls.
Normal girls. Okay.
You know. And like they don't go in there going, I hope I find someone to fuck with this
Yeah,
bar.
they would get in trouble with this. Yes.
Yeah. But they all like glam it up. They're not getting dressed up for themselves. They're getting dressed up for the guys that they might potentially see. And at first it's pretty tame. And this is why I always talk about no girls night outs. Because they're completely, you know, dressed up, dressed to the nines. They've got sexy lingerie on, the whole thing. They go out, it's pretty tame at first. But once they start getting a couple of drinks in them, these girls start like looking around. And they're still in the conversation with their friends, but they're looking around, they're kind of catching eyes. They're seeing if there are any eligible, handsome, hot, whatever the adjectives are, men who are noticing them. And then the attention starts to go out from the table of girls and into the surrounding opportunities, let's say. And then it just becomes a romantic thing. It's not. I mean, literally, these girls could be like, they're not like, I hope he fucks me in the bathroom and I never learn his name. No, they're like, what if I married him? In their heads, it's more like, wouldn't it be a romantic story that we're on Jenny's bachelorette party trip in Nashville and I met my future husband here?
Good.
And he banged me in the bathroom? Like,
and that gets fun.
This is how it goes.
Think of it as gambling. And the stakes just get higher while they're at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty normal. Girl, like Bunny says, they don't consciously.
No.
But as a player, you should recognize, and good players do, the opportunity is there.
Girls trips, girls nights
that's where
are
you'll
a
see
great opportunity.
A group of 2 or 3 guys just move their party over. Even if like there's a couple married women, things happen. Yeah. Again, proximity. You know, an opportunity, and no one will ever know. We're not even in town.
Well, and here's the way you can tell if a table of girls, if the girls that are and aren't interested in casual hookups or this opportunity. So there are always the women who aren't dressed up. They're essentially invisible, purposefully making themselves invisible. These are the married women. These are the relationship women who have no interest in hooking up. Now, there is still an echelon of women who think enough of themselves that they're still going to look nice. They're going out. They're going to be presentable. They're not trying to like completely look like whores, but they may still look nice, well put together, presenting their best to the world. But they're not looking around. They're not making eye contact with anybody. They're strictly focused on the women at the table. And there are these women. It does happen. It's a rarity, but it does happen. So just know that the women who aren't making eye contact and the women who are essentially invisible because they look like they just could have left the grocery store, those are the women that aren't there for casual.
And the best is where you have the women that are put together and you still kind of like invade their space and they go, I'm married.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, oh,
They're not
these are the good wives. I mean, they're like, they're attractive. They take care of themselves. They're not rude, but they don't entertain your bullshit.
They will
either.
not entertain.
No, they shut it down. They start laughing at you.
Yeah.
You know.
But then they also, if you try to hang around, because guys do this all the time, they'll like push through that.
Oh yeah. They'll try.
And she'll be like, "Listen, we're trying to have like some time. I need you to go back to your friends."
Exactly.
This has happened several times.
They'll kick you. They'll kick you like a puppy.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's wrap this baby up. I got something else to get to.
I was wondering what was going on because I paid for an hour.
Well, you also paid for this.
What do we got?
I've got a personal training class.
11 minutes. It's great having three. The girl has 3 businesses.
18 jobs.
Okay. What do we got? Do we have a last one or is this it?
That was it.
Is this the outro?
Wrap it up.
You can help us by buying something and investing your money into yourself and getting better. And we have everything that covers everything from increasing your confidence, beating one-itis, how to fuck like a porn star, indicators of interest.
Yeah.
Something that has been flying off the shelves with me recently is younger women and older men. Because this time of year, there's a lot of like, where you're going to be in the vicinity of girls 10, 20, 30 years younger than you. And there are certain rules you need to follow that will increase your attractiveness and how to manage younger women so you don't step on your dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam circled back, the one with the question with the neighbor. He says, yeah, her kid is 7 and 8, no boyfriend, been neighbors for about a year. Thanks for the advice. Was trying to decide to text or in person. In person. Don't take the pussy route. You see her all the time. Go on and just like take advantage of the end that you have when you guys are kind of meeting and being a little flirtatious in the hallway.
I've noticed that over time, and don't get me wrong, I love online dating, I love texting, but if you have the opportunity to do it in person, it just has more impact because girls are very much used to guys being pussies today.
Yeah.
So if you can do it, if you can approach and ask her out in person or ask her to come over.
Seriously.
You can see her reaction. You can read her face. But she also, even if she has to say no, she gives you points for having balls.
Yeah, 1,000%. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And look at how much bigger he looks today.
She is like 10 feet behind me because apparently the camera is just not.
I'm just a little thing.
She's teeny tiny. She really comes up to my armpit, but lately on camera we're the same size. It doesn't make any sense. Like it does not. I mean, when you look at it, you're like, it doesn't make any sense. She's really small. I put her in my pocket. I hope you guys had a good time. We appreciate you watching. Your time is very valuable to us. And I will be back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Whether you need it or not.
That's right. Hope you have a great day.
Bye.